everybody, this is a video I'm doing partly prompted by an interview I saw on David Pakman's channel with David Silverman, and also a video by Healthy Addict on this whole subject of conservative atheists and how apparently we, presumably the liberal atheists of the world, need to reach out to conservative atheists for some reason or other. That's what I want to do the video about, though. That's what I want to ask. What is the reason we need to do this? I understand that in a movement sometimes you have to put differences aside with people in order to focus on a common goal. I understand that in, for example, an environmentalist movement, you know, there might be people there with different views on other issues to me, but if I was involved in one, but if we all agreed, oh, the environment is an important issue, we'd put those aside and focus on the environment. If, let's say, yeah, it's a movement like a feminist movement, if we could say, oh, we don't all agree on the same thing here, we don't agree on this, we don't agree on that, but we do agree on this issue here of feminism, okay, all these people can put aside those differences and focus on that. I keep hearing this term, though, atheist movement. This is what I want to understand. I don't understand what an atheist movement is. I understand what a secularist movement is. That makes complete sense. Because movements have goals. This is the point. A movement has a goal. The goal of a secularist movement would be to establish and maintain separation of religion and state, depending on the country. In the UK we've yet to establish that. In America they have established that, but it's not really being maintained, it's not really being respected and put into practice. And that would be broadly the aim of a secularist movement. And within that movement there would be people with certain differences of opinion on other issues besides secularism, but they could probably put those differences aside and focus on the task at hand. The problem, though, with an atheist movement, atheism isn't something with a goal. It's not some kind of... That's just it. It's not a movement. Atheists are just people who don't believe in deities. So I don't understand what this common goal is that is worth getting liberal atheists and conservative atheists together. If the atheist movement is just a clumsy synonym for a secularist movement, then I'd have to be honest, there really is no point getting conservative atheists on board, because these are people who would rather vote for a party. Now, I'm not pretending to be an expert on American politics, but having my general impression I get of the Republican Party in the US is that it's heavily anti-secular. So conservative atheists, if they're actually voting conservatively, if they're voting for the Republicans, they're basically saying they care more about not having to pay much in taxes than they do about gay rights, than they do about women's rights, than they do about separation of church and state, than they do about science education. You know, they care more about their own money, you know, not having to spend money, be able to sort of hoard their own earnings, than they actually do about secular issues. So what is the point of trying to get people like that on board? Because they're, by nature of what they are not on board. You know, if that's what the atheist movement is, if it's just a clumsy title for the secularist movement. If I'm wrong about that, though, if that's not what the atheist movement is, if there is actually some difference between the atheist movement and the secularist movement, please, for crying out loud, could someone tell me what it is? Could someone tell me what the aim of the atheist movement is? Because I still don't get this. I've been reading literature on this for years, I've been watching videos on this, I've been listening to podcasts about this, I've been having conversations with people. I still don't understand what an atheist movement is. I still don't get it. And so if I've got to, you know, if I go to some convention or conference, if I've got to sit with Rocking Mystery on one side of me and Pat Condell on the other side of me, just sitting there grinning and bearing it, going, while they talk about how much they hate brown people, I want to know why I've got to do that. I want to know. There's got to be a damn good reason for me to put up with people like that. I want to know what the aim is that is so important and so achievable that it's worth me putting up with. Because let's face it, there are some utterly disgusting people involved, that are atheists in the world. You've got the race realists, you've got these MRAs or these MGTOWs or whoever else. There are just some truly revolting attitudes that are held by certain non-religious people, and if I've got to sort of put up with those people, there's got to be a damn good reason for it. I want to know what is the aim of this atheist movement, whatever the hell it is, that is so important that it involves putting up with people like that. Basically, that involves tolerating people like that. If someone could explain this to me, that would be helpful. To be honest, though, I don't really see the point of atheist movements. I prefer the idea of a secularist movement, and the great thing about that is it can include people who aren't atheists as well, because, like it or not, there are a significant number of religious people who support secularism. Although they are religious, they understand and accept that their religion should not be forced upon other people. And those people would be on board with a movement called the secularist movement, but they're not going to be on board with a movement called the atheist movement, because they're not atheists. It's not what they are. It's not an accurate description of what they are. And in addition to that, an atheist movement is going to end up including a number of people who don't support secularism. People like that seem to me to just be dead weight to a movement that's trying to achieve that, if that's what's trying to be achieved. But if someone could explain to me what the atheist movement actually is, or what an atheist movement is, that would be great. So yeah, let me know what you think. Goodbye.